David has been my acting coach for several months now, and I first connected with him because I needed sort of an overview of what the industry was like for someone who wants to do faith-based projects. And so he gave me some insight to that, and I was doing a film for the first time and just needed some direction, and he was able to give me a lot of tips on how to get into that type of setting and understand what my role was and developing a character. We worked for several sessions on just understanding who the character was that I was going to play, and then who I was in relation to that character. So what was really neat was seeing how me and this character were different, but as David would say, you know, I was lending myself to this character and portraying this person in a way that nobody else could. So the encouragement that David gave for that particular project was invaluable, because I was very apprehensive and nervous, and so he helped hone the strengths that I had while helping me develop in the areas that I felt weak in. So memorizing lines was one of those areas, and so he gave me some strategies for doing that, like literal, let's write this down on paper, I'm gonna, you know, walk you through these steps. So that has been really helpful. And David became really almost a therapist, because as you learn who your characters are, you also have to learn who you are. And so how do you handle grief? How do you handle anger? How do you handle all these emotions? What do you look like when you're happy? So in order to embody another character, you have to start with knowing yourself. So kind of talking through, again, some of those my own insecurities, some of those weaknesses that I had, and then looking at how I would lend myself to a character. That's been a lot of fun, but it's been hard work and growth, and I'm glad that he was able to walk beside of me and help through that process. The other thing that I would say about David is that he is an encourager, and this world needs more people like him who encourage and say, look, nobody's going to be a perfect actor. Really, there is no such thing, but what do you have that you can bring to this character that nobody else can? What skills do you have that you can use to glorify God that maybe somebody else is missing? So in an industry where things are so competitive, you're not really competing against other people. You're really just looking at, how can I bring something that nobody else can? So how can I meet a need? And so he was able to enlighten me on a lot of those kind of things where I might have had a more narrow view of the industry. He was able to open up my thought processes on that. So I would call David an encourager above all else. Not to mention the different types of resources, references that he's shared on, you know, how to do my own edification when it comes to acting, or even spiritual growth. So scripture that might be helpful at a certain time, books that I might need to look at, videos, methods to research. So he is more than a teacher and more than a coach. He's an encourager, sometimes possibly a therapist, because you have to work through your own things before you can give what you need to a particular character or do a particular thing on set. So I just appreciate what he's done, and I have recommended him to other people. And I've had at least one in the short time I've worked with David, I've had at least one person that I'm close with who has had a session with him and been encouraged and been motivated and given some momentum to move forward in acting. So David is a friend that you want to have, and he will be a coach, he will be an encourager, and he's someone that will walk alongside you in your journey in acting.